All right. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today for the NYC Accelerator Spring 2023 Symposium. We are thrilled to have you here. I hope you had a chance to catch up over refreshments and coffee. It'll be there all morning if you need to refill. My name is Natasha Offman. I am the Community Outreach and Events Manager for NYC Accelerator. I'll be your event facilitator today. I am thrilled to introduce a great panel of speakers we have today. I'm going to go over the agenda in a second, but let me introduce our speakers. So we will hear, after I finish some of this intro, we will hear from DEP Chief Climate Officer and DEP Commissioner Aggarwala. And then we will hear from NYC Accelerator Program Manager Luke Surowek. Then we are going to have a little celebration, and we'll hear from Claire Richards, our Marketing Coordinator on NYC Accelerator. So here's what you can expect for the rest of the event today. We'll hear opening remarks from Commissioner Aggarwala. Then we'll hear some program updates from Luke. We will celebrate our NYC Accelerator awardees. We'll hear that from Claire and myself. Then we are going to go into breakout sessions. I'll let you know more about that when we get there, and then we'll regroup, close out, and say farewell for the day. Couple of notes I want to make sure everyone is aware of. This is being live streamed and it is being recorded. We will absolutely make sure that folks can receive a copy of the recording after the event. And we're here. If you have any questions, you can see NYC Accelerator staff. We have a little NYC Accelerator logo on our name badges. So if you have any questions or concerns, please find one of us and we will be happy to help you. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome DEP Commissioner Aggarwala up to the stage.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the municipal building. It is great to see all of you. It's great to see such a fantastic turnout to celebrate the important work of the Accelerator and of its clients. And I'm really excited to particularly see so many familiar faces. And I was asked to talk about Local Law 97, and the conjunction of talking about Local Law 97, which I do basically every day, and the fact that I see so many familiar faces leads me to think that many of you may know exactly what I'm about to say, which is fine, because one of the things I learned from Mayor Bloomberg back in the day is that leadership and management is about having a few messages, saying them over and over and over again. And victory is when your whole audience knows the point you're about to make before you make it. And so I want to start out by saying, we know that the implementation of Local Law 97 and the work of greening and decarbonizing New York City buildings is the most important thing that New York City can and must do towards the global fight against climate change, right? There is no more important thing than what you all are working on and what the Accelerator is helping us deliver. This administration and Mayor Adams, we are fully committed to the implementation of Local Law 97. There should be no question about our seriousness of getting this law in place. And at the same time, as I point out over and over again, I think it's tragic for all of us that we've focused on the number of this bill, that we've called it Local Law 97 because we forget the actually much more important title that it had when it was enacted by the City Council, which is the Climate Mobilization Act. And I think those are the most important words we've got to focus on, because the discussion around Local Law 97 has focused on formulas, it's focused on penalties, it's focused on numbers, it's focused on timelines. It's focused on things that to a certain extent are the details and the tools and only part of the story. And the main story of mobilization is exactly what you all are working on, which is how do you help people do something that is difficult but necessary, do it with a sense of urgency, and make it as easy as possible, even though we know it's not necessarily going to be easy. And so it's why I think that today is such an important day for us, and it's great to have everybody here in person, because we have to demonstrate to the world, we have to demonstrate to New York City that this system works, that what the accelerator does in terms of helping buildings figure out the best path to achieving their targets, that the help that the accelerator gives in identifying the many resources that are out there to help buildings finance and fund their work, the work that the accelerator does to help people understand the kinds of technologies that are out there is really important. I hear so often from people who manage or own buildings, and they say, oh, well, local law 97 is going to be impossible for my building to do. And I say, well, how'd you come to that conclusion? Well, my boiler guy says it's going to be really expensive. So how expensive? He says really expensive. Like, okay, really? That's the level? No, you've got to call the accelerator, because they will actually give you some real information. And so part of what we have to do, and again, I could not be more enthusiastic about the turnout here and the great work, particularly of some of the awardees, is demonstrate that with good advice, with a little bit of thoughtful, sometimes paperwork or creativity, right? And with the commitment of management to do the right thing, this is not that difficult a law to comply with for the vast majority of buildings. We know that, in fact, most of the buildings, something on the order of 90% of the buildings that are going to have to do work that are at risk of fines in the 2024 compliance period, they are over their targets by less than 10%. 10% is a number that you can get by changing light bulbs, by wrapping pipes, by doing a handful of really small, easy things that have a payback period measured in months, not years. We should have no sympathy for somebody who says, oh, I can't get a 5% reduction in my carbon footprint. We do know that there are going to be some buildings where they are way over their target and where the only compliance path is going to be very difficult and very expensive and very long-term. And that is where we as an administration are committed. We have said it, that we are looking into additional ways to help. We are going to be hopefully working with the state to figure out how best to apply the Inflation Reduction Act money that the state is going to be programmed. And personally, I think the state ought to develop a local law 97 program to help buildings comply with this most important law in New York City. But we are going to find ways to help buildings that are those edge cases. But the main thrust of what we have to keep reminding ourselves and telling everybody over and over again is that the vast majority of buildings have a straightforward path to comply with this law. It is not at all impossible, and getting there starts with a phone call or clicking the web page to put some information into the New York City Accelerator. That's actually all I was going to say. Because again, that is really the message, that we're committed to this law, that it is about mobilization and action. It is not primarily about fines and penalties, and that it is not that difficult for the vast majority of buildings. You all here are living proof. You have the case studies. We're going to have some awards that highlight great successes. And I just want to conclude by thanking Luke and his team for the great work that you've done. And also, actually, I want to call out Joe Chavez and some of the folks we have here from the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, which oversees the Accelerator program and is so important to making all of this work. But let me conclude by saying thank you. Thank all of you. You are fighting the most important fight there is right now. There is no question about that. And we can't lose sight of that bigger picture. Even though we're going to make progress on a pipe by pipe, window by window, light bulb by light bulb basis, the end result here is about saving our city, saving our nation, saving our planet. And you all are fighting that good fight. So thank you very much. Now over to you, Luke.
Thank you, Commissioner. Really appreciate that. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to work. All right. Hello, everyone. And thanks again for joining us in person It's really nice to see so many faces that I haven't seen some in years. And for those that are joining virtually as well, hello. So in the next few minutes, we're going to highlight the progress that we've made over the last few years, and to talk a little bit about some of the actions we took since the last symposium. We'll also highlight some exciting program updates, and then we'll head out to the breakout sessions, as Natasha mentioned. Okay, so in the fall, we hosted breakout sessions in a similar kind of environment that we are in today, related to service provider engagement, market transformation, and working with carbon neutrality by 2050. We learned that our highly engaged service provider network wanted to amplify their exposure to prospective clients. We can't do this work without the service providers. Through initiatives that we recently launched, like the Building Envelope campaign, we are drawing closer connections between the service providers and which are the enablers of this work with, building owners, property managers, and the decision makers. We also discussed the barriers that are to engaging in the new construction sector about low carbon emissions planning with our Build the Future campaign. We raised awareness about dispelling misunderstandings about compliance requirements related to new buildings, local laws, and energy codes. And we are teaming up with Urban Green to host a webinar that touches on these issues on June 29th. So please join us. And finally, we discussed ways that we can move the needle with driving low carbon energy plans to help the city reach its goals by 2050. And we continue to have conversations around long-term planning, engaging in community events to share the resources offered by our program and drawing connections with the market. We also conducted a financing campaign this spring, actually, that underscored the many different financing vehicles and opportunities and options that are out there to fund our upgrades. And we have a group of service providers that have joined with the program to provide these services. And by underscoring the specific offerings that we know that are available in the market, we see a huge lift in program participation since the fall meeting. All right, so since we launched in 2021, or at least this iteration of the program, we've engaged with nearly 13,000, it's actually over 13,000 buildings at this point. But we need to keep driving. I mean, we have 50,000 buildings to work with related to 97 and to mobilize. So far, most of those buildings have been buildings that have to comply with local law 97, about 90%. That doesn't mean we don't work with smaller buildings. We have been working and engaging there as well. And so far, about 4,000 or 5,000 buildings have taken some action to prepare themselves for local law 97, whether it's planning or implementing decarbonization measures and so forth, with our help. And we're actively seeking to amplify awareness around key areas that we know, key areas and knowledge gaps that exist in the market. So project financing campaign, as I mentioned, we drove hundreds of incoming leads via the Financing That Fits campaign. That's top left. The New Buildings and Training campaign helped us bring in over 550 trainings to service providers that are supporting new building actors. And we launched a new technical assistance tool, such as the building snapshot, the building energy snapshot tool, which is right on our homepage, and anyone can quickly jump in, type in their address, and figure out exactly what local law 97 means to you, because I think that's the most important part about all this. Yes, it could be complicated, but typing your address into a search bar is not. And we just launched our 4th campaign where we're partnering with National Grid, Con Ed, and NYSERDA on ways to connect buildings with incentives related to building envelope work, which in the grand scheme of things are just no-brainer measures to do right now, regardless of which direction you're taking your building. Our program continues to deliver and provide access to technical trainings. Again, we've trained almost 1,000 people total so far, almost 500 related to local law 97 compliance, and we continue to encourage folks to come and use those trainings. As the local law 97 compliance deadlines draw closer next year, we have been working very closely with DOB and elected officials to provide information related to compliance requirements and resources via some hyper-local events and opportunities. All right. A little bit about our neighborhood program. So the accelerator works towards achieving environmental justice by targeting 3 specific neighborhoods that have been identified as priority environmental justice areas. We partnered with NYSERDA and Solar One to launch a grant program to promote the clean energy projects in Northern Manhattan, Central Brooklyn, and South Bronx. These grants, which range from $10,000 to $25,000 each, support clean energy upgrades for affordable housing properties and outreach campaigns that promote the NYC Accelerator's free clean energy advisory services. The applicants were each eligible applicants for project-based grants include HDFCs, co-ops, nonprofits, and affordable housing properties. Eligible applicants for campaign grants include community-based organizations that serve one of these 3 priority neighborhoods. And today, we are happy to announce the awardees of the Clean Energy Grants Program. Congratulations to Urban Homesteading Assistance Board, UHAB, and Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation. Each organization received $15,000 to fund grassroots outreach in these priority communities to connect building stakeholders with the services that we provide through the accelerator. That wraps up my updates related to the program, and going to turn it back to Natasha to cover the New York City Accelerator Award ceremony.
Thanks. Thanks so much to Luke and Rit for wonderful updates there. So today we are pleased to announce the winners of the NYC Accelerator Awards. NYC Accelerator Awards is NYC Accelerator's Decarbonization Leadership Recognition Program. That's a mouthful. Say that 5 times fast. So NYC Accelerator Awards was designed to award and recognize trailblazers across the building and energy efficiency industries. We recognize winners and participants in 4 different categories, as we can see from the matrix on the screen here. Now, I know it's pretty tiny, so I'll give you a quick description of what those 4 categories mean. So we are here to recognize over 80 organizations in total. And these organizations are organizations who made joint efforts to make a big impact on improving water and energy efficiency, promoting decarbonization, and building a green workforce in New York City. The program, as I said, was broken into the 4 pathways. So we had the purple column there is a building performer pathway. Those are organizations and stakeholders who help to advance energy efficiency and carbon emissions reductions in their buildings. Then we have the connector pathway. Those are organizations who helped us to advance the recognition of the NYC Accelerator program by promoting the program in their channels, at events, participating in events with us. Then we have training champions. Those are individuals and organizations who participated and took NYC Accelerator trainings. We have a learning center online filled with lots of trainings, and it's been very rewarding to see the uptake we've seen in those trainings, as well as people who have participated in our partner trainings. And finally, we have the service provider pathway. That's to recognize organizations who have actually gone in and implemented energy efficiency upgrades or consulted on energy efficiency projects with building owners across New York City. So there are 4 different levels across those categories, and we'll be announcing all of them. So the last thing I want to highlight, the innovator, this black box on the bottom, the innovator category, that is to recognize organizations that have participated in and unlocked up to at least the partner level in multiple pathways. So these awards are cumulative. They are a little bit harder to unlock each level. So it goes from affiliate to partner to leader to innovator. So we're here to recognize all of those milestones. What we will be doing is asking folks to, when you hear your organization called, please stand up, hold your applause for the end of each level, so we aren't here all day. And then Claire will give you all a cue for organizations that have reached the leader and innovator levels. We actually have physical awards that we'll be handing out to the left over here. So Claire will be asking you to come on up when we get to that point. So Claire, please come up and we will start announcing our awardees.
Thank you, Natasha. So for our first level, we have our affiliates across the building performer, connector, training champion, and service provider pathway. These participants are connected with account managers to start implementing energy efficiency projects, spreading the word about NYC Accelerator through their channels, taking training courses through the NYC Accelerator Learning Center, and our qualified service providers with our program. I'm going to be calling out the names based on each of our pathways. So under building performers, we have Castellino LLC and EcoSave. Under connectors, we have Empowered Buildings and New York Building Systems Consultant, Inc. Under training champions, we have Jefferson Tenants Corp. And our long list of service providers affiliates, we have First Heating Solutions, Association for Energy Affordability, Broad USA, Brooklyn Grange, Carlton Energy Consulting, CC Controlled Combustion Co., Champion Combustion Corp., CoilPod LLC, Colato Engineering, the Kodakon Group, Cycle Architecture and Planning, Dual Fuel Corp., EcoSave, Energreen Sites, Energy Plus New York, and Power Group, and Tech Boiler Control, Innovuse, M Corp Credit Corporation, the Metro Group, Inc., New York Energy and Environmental, New York Engineers, PC, New York Building Systems Consultant, Inc., Partner Energy, Pearl Street LED Systems, Ross Energy Consulting, Stantec Consulting Services, Inc., Stratco Property Solutions, Utilivisor, Vanguard Building Solutions, and YADAF Solutions, Inc. So if your name was called, please stand for a round of applause. Awesome. Congratulations to our affiliates. So next we have our partners who have started to implement energy efficiency upgrades into their buildings. They have taken extensive training courses through the NYC Accelerator Learning Center and have participated in NYC Accelerator events or invited a member of our staff to participate in their events. So under our partner building performers, we have Colato Engineering, Lamore Associates, Milford Management. Under our connectors, we have Brick and Mortals, Con Edison, Council of New York Cooperatives and Condominiums, CUNY Building Performance Lab, L&M Development Partners, Latitude Compliance, New York Association of Real Estate Managers, Urban Green Council. Under our training champions, we have Building Efficiency Services and Innovuse. And for our service providers, we have Train and Urban Strong. So if your name was called, please stand for a round of applause. Congratulations to our partners. All right. Our leaders are working with our team to plan and implement projects that will create long-term efficiency in their buildings or in their clients' buildings. They have completed a case study or published a blog about NYC Accelerator and just help, extend the reach of our program. Under our building performer leaders, we have 10240 67th Drive Owners Corp, 360 West 22nd Street Board, Brooklyn Home Management, Centers Healthcare, Community Access, the Kodakon Group, Halstead Management, Hawthorne Court Council, Heatherwood Luxury Rentals, Jefferson Tenants Corp, L&M Development Partners, and River and Warren Condominium. Under our connectors, we have Building Efficiency Services, Entergreen Sites, Innovators, and Stanley and Associates. Under our service providers, we have Building Efficiency Services, Empowered Buildings, Latitude Compliance, and Parity. If your name was called, please stand for a round of applause. And we have your gifts to the left. So after the presentation, feel free to grab them and take photos with our beautiful Step and Repeat. All right. And finally, we have our innovators who have gone above and beyond to promote NYC Accelerator, and they've completed extensive energy efficiency projects in their buildings. As Natasha also mentioned, these organizations have either committed to the Carbon Challenge or have completed the partner level in 2 or more categories. We applaud your immense commitment to decarbonization, and if your name is listed here, please stand for a round of applause, but obviously we'll list them off. We have Building Efficiency Services, Empire State Realty Trust, Innovators, L&M Development Partners, and Latitude Compliance. So will our innovators please stand for a round of applause? Awesome. Thank you. And of course, you will also be getting physical gifts. So they will be to the left after the presentation, and I will turn it back to Natasha.
Thanks, Claire, and congratulations to all of our awardees. All right, so we applaud everyone's efforts to reduce carbon emissions in New York City, build a greener, cleaner New York for tomorrow. We'll be delivering digital badges and certificates to our affiliates and partners. And like we said, we have physical awards for the leaders and innovators. So this is where we are going to say farewell to our virtual attendees. We appreciate that you're able to join us online. We're going to end the broadcast here. Please stay in touch. You can contact us by phone, by web, by email. We are here to help you.